Hello and welcome to your full moon report for October 28th. This full moon is in Taurus. It's eclipse season. We've got a lot to cover. All about new beginnings, all about endings, all about cataclysms. A lot of strife, a lot of karmic ties, a lot of ancestral ties are tied up into this time. And it is a very important time in history, and I'm going to tell you why. And before I do that, my name is Candace. I am the founder and formulator behind Louloudi Skincare, where we focus on herbology, topical skincare solutions, emotional well-being, and herbal remedies. Prior to getting into this report, I want to go over a few announcements. One, we've just launched all of our new herbal remedies and teas, and I have sessions available for booking. You can book 30 minutes, 1 hour, and an hour and a half. My bookings are very unique. They cover energy readings along with the astrology, and we go over everything going on in your life so that we can put you into the highest timeline for yourself. If you would like to book or shop, you can find everything below at the link. We have great courses, lymphatic massage courses coming up next week. We have a preserve and protect your energy course that is excellent for learning to meditate and learning protective measures to help keep your energy high and keep your energy protected. And we also have a period course coming soon to tell you all about the superpowers involved within it. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of today and why we're all here, okay? Now, for the last 2 weeks, you've been dealing with eclipse season, and really it's been for a month. We're going to count the 2 weeks, break this down by talking about the season, then we have to talk about the eclipses, then we have to talk about Scorpio versus Taurus and what those two energies mean, and all of the planets intertwined within these actions, okay? So we are in the season of death. This is a very special time of year, and there's a couple of reasons why, and it's really the opposing side to spring, okay? So when spring energy is bursting forth out of the ground, and now energy is trying to decay, die, go back to the earth. All of the trees are turning yellows and reds and oranges. All of the flora and fauna are withering away. Everything is trying to get back home to its original place to rest before it bursts forth again for the next season. We too are going through this time, and it is a time for us to allow some of our energies to decay or transform or to die off, to allow in new. And as we go through this period, it really does work on our roots and our foundations, securing them up, letting go of what no longer serves us to bring in more growth. Eclipses are cataclysms. They are times in history that probably created astrology in the first place. Why? It is the most accurate timing measure. It is the most in-your-face response to planetary actions and movements, okay? No matter what time in history, at some point, each of us have looked up and out throughout the society and seen a change in our sky that happened not very often, but often enough to freak everybody out, okay? Imagine seeing a blood red quarter moon and you have no idea what it is, and you're the first person to have seen this, and you don't, and it's gonna scare you or it's gonna empower you. It's gonna be written about in history. And that is how a lot of, in history, this is how time was told. This is how we tracked time. Every time eclipse season came around, we could measure our calendars. Kings would measure their calendars, and this is how they would know they were keeping their time properly. I also think about the Libra scales that I talked about in the last episode, and how we actually, I said the full moon was in Scorpio, but the full moon was in Libra. We're actually like tipping these scales. And in the tipping of these scales, we are at a point where we have to see where the scales measure it out so that we know where we are, so that we can move forward in the right direction. And we are still on those scales. And I consider this eclipse season to be like a portal of time, a window of new opportunities that also bring about a lot of change, because you can't bring in the new without the old. And we don't really know what's gonna come, because it's all kind of based on what's happening now, and it's playing out further along in the future. This is just 2 series, and then we'll have these eclipses again. Okay. Now, let's talk about this full moon coming up in Taurus. And if you know anything about oppositions, you know that there's a few things that are happening in the sky. First of all, we have this shift in our nodes. So you might have had the new moon in Libra. You would think that this full moon would be in Aries if it were properly on the nodes, because it's all about the oppositions of the planet. But because we're kind of like wavering back and forth and ending up a season and beginning a new one, it's going to go into Taurus before it comes back into Aries. And we are dealing with the ending of Scorpio, Taurus, and the beginning of Aries, Libra nodes for the next couple of years. So with that, it's very interesting because Mars is a giant player on this board, who is also the ruler of Aries and Scorpio. So we have to talk about that. But before we go there, let's get into the energy of Scorpio. And the best way to talk about the energy of Scorpio is to relate it to Taurus, okay? So Taurus season is all about the new flowers in bloom. We've got peonies, we've got tulips have just left. Abundance is in the air. It is fresh, it is summer, it is bright, it is colorful, it is full of life. We see what life is again after spring, and this whole new flourishing of an environment is happening in front of us. Compared to Scorpio, where it's time to say goodbye. The harvest has happened. Everything is transitioning from this beauty of growth to this beauty of death, with this changing from these bright pastels and pinks and blues and yellows to these muted earthy tones of greens and oranges and reds. And this cycle is so they oppose each other just so, and create this environment right now for us where we are facing a lot of deaths, we are seeing a lot of deaths, we are seeing a lot of sacrifices, and they all seem very ancestral and tied to something more. Scorpio, unlike Taurus, rules death, okay? And so here are a few things that come up. One, the death card in tarot. The scariest card in tarot. People are always seeing this card and saying, oh no, that means I'm gonna die. No, it doesn't mean you're gonna die. Life is infinite. This means you're gonna transform. Scorpio is about transformation. I like to relate Scorpio to two things. First, we have the swamp. Okay, so let's talk about that first. Have you ever been to a swamp? Well, it's sticky, it's thick, it's still. You can't see shit in the water. Okay, things just pop up. It's murky. There are many things living there. Bacteria grows there. Stagnant water. Scorpio is a water sign. Scorpio is a water sign that is not moving. Okay? Water that is still. Water that is sticking around. Water holds memories. So you can almost imagine like Scorpio holds these memories of all of us, and this water that doesn't have anywhere to go just brings up more from the murky ground, allowing it to kind of come to a surface for us to deal with it. If you've ever been in a swamp and you know that like there are catfish at the bottom and like alligators popping up and all of this stuff is murky, flat at the bottom. If you were to drag your feet around long, you could get leeches, everything from leeches to like things biting you. But when there's nothing in the swamp moving, it's crystal fucking clear. You can see, it's beautiful, it's still, it's crystally, it's magical. This place seems so dark and dreary, is actually so full of life. And it really does tie us to all facets of life, okay? And Scorpio can also be seen as instead of calling it a cemetery, which it could be seen as, I'm gonna say ancestral burial grounds. I want you to think about that. It's the bones in the ground. It's your ancestors. It's your roots. It's your foundation. It's the story for why you're here. It's your karma. It's your ancestral karma. It's the fight that you could be fighting you didn't even know you were fighting, okay? Scorpio is also about the law. And while Libra, which we just experienced, is all about judgment from a legal perspective. These are the laws on the books. We follow these laws. Someone comes along and decides if we're doing it right. It really is up to them, not to us. Scorpio is an eye for an eye. What you do to me, I do to you. Scorpio is all about judgment and making a decision based on further and longer, okay? Mars has moved into Scorpio. Mars is the original home. Mars's original home is in both Aries and Scorpio. Mars is the warrior. Now, when the warrior is in Aries, he's fighting for himself. Now, he's quick to temper, he's quick to shut it out. Aries is just a spark, right? The warrior there is a fighter. Things can really get him hot quick and usually get him down quick. When the warrior comes home to Scorpio, he's no longer in the fire element, he's in the water element. It's all about past memories. It's like coming home from war. And Mars in Scorpio is not really a fighter unless it has to be. And that's when that you fucked with me, I gotta fuck with you now. That's Mars in Scorpio, okay? Scorpio has been known to be like the secretive. Anybody who knows the Scorpio, they're secretive. They're a little bit like, they like to be a little bit hidden and a little bit mysterious. What happens when the warrior goes there? When the warrior goes to his ancestral burial ground and he hears the stories of his ancestors, what would want to cause him to fight? What would he have to stand up for? How would he stand up for it? Now, what if Mars, the warrior, is in Scorpio with the sun illuminating things and Mercury communicating things, thinking about this whole section, and they're opposing Earth, Taurus, Jupiter? Expansion on Earth based on what has happened in the past is what we're dealing with. Those are the opposing forces. How far as a society can we go? How far as you as a person can you go if we don't fight, deal, handle our roots, our foundation, our history, our story first? That's where I think this time is going. Taurus represents everything that has to do with like material possessions on Earth. It's total 3D, okay? And we've had Jupiter and Uranus retrograde in Taurus for the whole year, going direct by the end of the year, changing and expanding and changing and expanding, something very earthly, something very material, something that's happening directly here on this planet. And to have that change and that expansion, and just focus on the expansion really here, this expansion with the moon, your emotions about how things are growing, changing, and shifting in the environment right now, based on what you know about your ancestors, the past, what you've pulled up from your psyche. Where are they in the balance? That's the question you need to ask yourself. We also have this very, during this day on October 28th, we have something really cool coming around, and that is this holy trine of earth signs. So we have got Uranus and Taurus, Venus in Virgo, and Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto has just gone direct. Pluto is all about transformation, and it's right now with Pluto and Capricorn, it's a struggle, it's a work, it's climbing to change. It's not just happening in a vacuum. You have to work for this change. You have to really do some work for it. Then you have Venus in Virgo. It's all about like analyzing what you love and organizing it and making sure that you are able to have your values and have the things that you need. Very earthy. And then talking to Uranus and Taurus, all about change on 3 earth elements. Change, expansion and growth, and transformation. That is this window of opportunity that we have opening. So you have this window, this trine of opportunity opening up at the same time as this eclipse portal is open. And it's bringing in a lot, and it's asking a lot from you. And where I think you will best be focused is if you focus on those karmic ties that could be possibly holding you back. If you have not spent the last 2 weeks of this eclipse cleaning up whatever storylines needed to be cleaned up to make way for the new, this is where I want you to focus your energy. Even if it's cleaning your house, even if it's reorganizing things, cleaning up your text messages, I want you to go through those old storylines. I want you to look at where you have changed, where you no longer need those places, so that you can clean out and ask for the new, ask for the highest timeline to flood in and fill up the space, okay? You have a moment coming on November 5th when Saturn goes direct, where these structures, these dreams, these ideas, these things that you've been working on are going to start rebuilding themselves, okay? It's all based on what you can let go of to make space for what is coming. Don't focus on the new. You've been focusing on that all summer long, okay? Instead, focus on getting rid of the old. And that is where it's going to happen for you anyway, because that flow is coming for you whether you want it or not. You just have to get out of the way. I hope you enjoyed this report. Let me know how you're feeling about this energy. Next, we're going to go over each sign individually, your rising signs, and we're going to talk about what this energy means for you. Please comment below if I'm on track, if you need help, if you have any questions. But please think about this really deeply as you settle into these next 2 weeks. Let's go over each, starting with Aries. All right, so my Aries risings, we got some value shifts happening. The things in your material world, what you value about yourself and about your things. You've got some changes happening here. You might have had to let some things go, to let some things in. You really need to examine what you love about your values, where that ties in karmically, and how you are trying to shift and align and probably make way for more financially, which you will most likely do when this season passes. Taurus rising, this is going to be real close to home. This is all about how you view the self, what's changing and expanding about how you see yourself and how other people see you. Is it a spiritual change? Is it a physical change? Are you exercising? Are you changing who you are? Are you being married or having a baby? Something about your physical appearance, how people see you in the world, is going to shift and change and grow and expand. And this full moon coming here will be eclipsing something and showing you where you need to continue to make the change. Gemini, this is a story about how people see you in the world and your day-to-day habits. What's going on with that? Where have you been showing up creatively for other people? How are they seeing you right now? Because it's changing and it's growing, and it's either going to be you are leaning towards maybe your social media and you are looking to make a change and get more of an audience, or you are trying to change who you are to others at this time, and it's got a lot to do with your creativity and your daily habits. So really focus in on aligning there to adjust this shift. Cancers, this is also affecting you creatively, how other people see you in the world, maybe your career, where you want to change your career, where you want to grow your career. Maybe you're making a lot of adjustments here. Whatever is going on, you should have some sort of finalization or some set of answers coming up with that. Really lean into how you see yourself creatively, and maybe focus in on a lot of pulling up and communicating that based on what other people see in you to kind of determine where you're going to go with this new career. To all of my Leos, this is a home story versus a career story, okay? A lot about clearing up things in your home, getting organized in your home, maybe working on some community-based projects, or in some way trying to get your name out, so that 10th house, career house, which is where the changes and the expansions are coming to, let's really cement those. And it might be leaning in and focusing on your community so that you can focus on that bigger picture. And it also might have a lot to do with what you're doing at home. If you work from home to get that bigger picture going, you have a good chance of finishing up these projects around now. Let's get to my Virgos. So you've got Venus in Virgo. What you love is really what you love about the self. and what others love about you. That Venus is coming through your first house right now. So it is a lot about how you value yourself. This is also a story of mentally, spiritually, where are you aligning with your beliefs when it comes to that larger story about how you teach, what you learn. Are you writing? Are you journaling? How are you getting your story out? How are you communicating your message that you need to tell the world? My dear Libras, this is another 8th house, 2nd house story, just like Aries, but in flip it and reverse it. Okay, you're gonna have to let go of something. What it is that you're gonna let go of. That's where your eclipse is happening. To really see the value, you're gonna have to learn to release. Scorpios, happy birthday. You've got a lot of passion going in your first house. You've got the sun, you got Mercury in your first house. A lot of communication about your passions in this section. Opposing your 7th house of partnerships. This is where your change is happening. Partnerships in business, partnerships in love, marriage. How you partnerships and friendships are growing, expanding, changing, and putting a lot of fire behind how you see yourself and kind of what you want from the world. It's a big focus on partnerships, and be happy with the change and go in that direction. If you're a Sagittarius, you've got new talents, you're restructuring, you're reforming. This was a really big summer for you to change a lot about your home, how others. Sagittarius, here's my question. What makes you play? What drives you on the creative field? How are you playing right now? How are you being childlike and carefree? That's really where the focus is, because it's going to change everything for your career. I would really like you to focus in on learning how to play, learning how to create from a place of inner child healing to kind of heal this part of your career where you may be holding yourself back. Now, Capricorns, you have had a year. You've had Pluto in your first house. Transformation ain't easy here, baby. It's like you're the goo from the inside of the butterfly, kind of waiting to turn. And you really aren't going anywhere just yet. Pluto just went direct, but things are changing, I swear. And you need to just hold on and allow this transformation to continue to take place to see what you come out as. But if it's in your first house, there's so much changing. Where are your belief systems at right now? What are you believing about the story that you're telling yourself about what you need to do from this place forward? I would ask you to examine everything from a karmic perspective and make sure that you are doing it all for the right reasons. Aquarius, you've had Saturn and Neptune in your 2nd house of values. You're about to have some restructuring there with what you consider valuable. To have Saturn about to go direct on November 5th, it's going to restructure this area for you, which might be deemed necessary based on what you've been going through in the economy. Big changes coming. I know it doesn't feel like it, things feel like they've been the same for a while. That's because many of your major hitters probably have retrogrades in them, and the major planets are really concerned about your mental capacity right now. It's all about your spirituality, where you are mentally, where you are in your community, and how that's going to help you, versus kind of like you need to see what you love and work on collaborations and partnerships with other people right now, because you have Venus going through your 8th house, which is all about inheritance and taxes and death, but also about investments and the lottery. So with Venus, what you love going through this planet that can really transform like your finances a lot and how people inherit you and see you financially. If you need an investment, now's the time to ask for it. My dear Pisces, how are you making space for your dreams? Because they're shifting and they're changing, and the structure is coming soon. You just need to know that whatever you are dreaming about, you can build. It's time to start building it, okay? How other people see you creatively in your 11th house, allow that transformation to take place. With Saturn going direct, you'll start seeing the build happen. So just allow it to happen, remove the karma, get it out of the way. All right, guys, this is what I have for you today. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the new moon. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. How has the eclipse season been treating you? I know it's been a rough 2 weeks for everybody in the world. I would like us all to focus on the using this portal time to really hone in on what kind of world we want to live in, and allow this portal to serve as a place for us to let go of the parts of us that don't fit in this world anymore, to make space for something new, magical, bigger, more beautiful, that works for everybody. That is the kind of thing that eclipses can do. They're magical like that. They can be great moments of change. We, as a society, have to be brave enough to ask for what we really want, and know that we can be bold enough to actually get it in a new way that might not require the same strategies as before, but it's our job to determine how we're going to transform this energy to make it work for us, our family, our planets, our friends, the world, our peers. Okay, that is all I have for you today. Again, I'm Candace. If you would like to book a session to learn more about yourself, to plant yourself in your highest timeline, please contact me. Shop our bundles to combat things like hormonal acne, hyperpigmentation. We have great skincare. We have herbal remedies. We have what you need. Thank you again. Have a fabulous weekend.